In January of 2016, PopCap released a Garden Warfare 2 multiplayer beta onto Xbox One and PlayStation 4. This beta came out 1 month before the game officially launched, but the build date of the beta was around the end of 2015. So today we're going to delve into the beta, see what's hiding in the files and what's different to the game when it came out. So the multiplayer beta comes with a bunch of different changes that are different to the launch version of Garden Warfare 2. Here we're going to go through all of the different ones that I can find that are major enough to mention. So we're going to start off with the main Garden Warfare 2 classes they added. And we'll also start with the most fun character to go against, Rose. I think the best way to start this is giving you a little bit of a jump scare of the old time snare stats. So in the beta, time snare used to last 5 seconds. I'll show you on screen what this would be like. That isn't it for Rose though, because there's more. Her homing is even worse in beta, with her being able to shoot targets from halfway across the backyard at some point. So I don't know where to mention this, so I'll just do it here. Rose's death sound is a bit different in the beta version. I'll show you what it sounds like now. Finally for Rose, Arcane Enigma has a slightly different animation. So for the Citron there's not as much as the Rose, but there is a few little things I can show off. First of all, it seems like Citron's overheat is a bit broken. I don't know if this is part of the mod or if this is actually how Citron worked in the beta, but you can see how long he can shoot for. The next thing is something I thought I'd mention, and that's the camera angle when using Citron Ball. All round in this version of the game the cameras are a bit janky with all the characters, but Citron Ball in particular is just really bad. You can see on screen here how it used to be. Finally for Citron, you can see the shield follows the camera whenever you use it. It's strange that this was just left in the beta. Maybe they thought it wouldn't be very useful to lock up with your shield, maybe, I don't really know. The Corn doesn't seem to have many differences outside of his 125 health, but he does have that in the launch version. But his primary and his butter barrage have different sounds, so I'll show you what that sounds like. So there's another thing for Corn that I didn't realise. If you look here, if I look up just around here and throw the butter, you can see it goes directly on the ground and then seems to bounce afterwards. Because if I just go in the booth real quick, you can see here, whenever you throw it, it tries to force itself to go on the ground, which causes the physics of the thing just to mess up, I believe. I don't know why, but it's quite strange that it does that. So now moving on to the zombie side, we're going to start off with the Imp. So first of all, this character has 50 ammo instead of the 30 he has in the current version. This 50 ammo probably explains why Party Imp has 40 in the main game. I'd assume the developers probably forgot to update Party Imp's ammo to kind of make him weaker than stock. It's why Party Imp in the current version is just a direct upgrade. Just a little thing about the party characters before I move on fully with Imp. Every single one in both beta and launch build use effects from the original characters.
As you can see, the beam there is purple. If I swap over to Party Imp, you'll see when I start shooting, my effects are also purple. I believe Captain Partyman is the only one that doesn't have this thing. No, Partyman has effects. If I go over to Party Citron, you'll see, ready? Original Citron, multiple effects. Same thing is present on Rose, as you can see, and the same thing is present on Party Corn. See?
So now back onto the Imp. So first of all, his Imp card used to do 6 damage instead of 3. It also didn't do homing either. You can see on screen here how it used to work. You can see here the UI for when you get to call your mech in is a bit different, and the mech itself has 400 health instead of 350. There isn't many differences with the pirate, but his crosshair's a bit different and the parrot pal has 20 health instead of 5. Out of all these characters, Super Brains is the one that's the most different in this version. For whatever reason they made it so Super Brains uses ammo. The stock variant comes with 9 and each punch counts for 1 ammo. Once he runs out he has to reload his punches. You can see on screen how this worked. His abilities are also quite different. First of all, Turbo Twister lasts a lot longer. It's also able to be cancelled by pressing E and I'd assume B on controller. On screen you can see the difference between the old Turbo Twister and the new one. Super Brains' primary weapon also used to be a bit different. His combo damage was less and he can't punch in the air. Now I've covered all the main differences with the classes that were playable in the beta. Now I'm going to cover the characters that were different in the beta but not accessible. First of all, Toxic Brains' legendary mode is just a stamina meter. It also decays like it does in the launch version. Once he gets his legendary mode, his beam can do up to 16 damage as well. As for his punches, he has the same damage he does currently, but he only has 3 ammo and has to reload. Party Brains also has some differences too. His weapon seems to be an older version of Super Brains'. He has 3 ammo and he does a knockback on the final punch. The Petrified Cactus has a completely different primary name along with a different projectile. The weapon's called Bird Blast and it fires an actual bird instead of just an egg. Here you can see what the projectile looks like. The Party Rose has 14 ammo and has really bad spread but does 13 damage in this version of the game. She also has a different legendary theme song, but I'm going to cover all those later on. Both roses that need to charge their weapons are able to jump and move at the normal speed when charging. AC Perry is able to freeze a plant with 3 direct shots as well. Partycorn has a few different things that are wrong with him as well. First, the damage tag that he's using for his damage is the energy one as opposed to the normal one that Korn uses. Along with this, when he gets in party time he can hit up to 16 damage per shot. Computer Scientist has a bunch of different things that are wrong with him. First of all of his effects are blue instead of green. Second of all, Crunch Mode has no music, and also lasts 45 seconds for some reason. You can see in the background gameplay here, Crunch Mode is not really decaying very slow at all. So I'll go on to the next thing while this just plays out because we're going to be here a while. The last thing with this character is that his reload animation is seemingly bugged in this version. If you look here, his weapon kind of twitches when he reloads. I've explained all that and Crunch Mode is only halfway done, so I'll speed up the rest of the footage so we can move on. Disco Chomper's Disco Fever is nearly impossible to get. You can see here it charges a very tiny amount whenever I get a Swallow Vanquish. My guess is that we're trying to make it so you gain the mode by chomping zombies instead, and this is the result of them being halfway done with a Swallow gimmick that he has now. So finally for this section is the Iron Citron. To begin with, for his damage they made it so instead of doing 50 damage, he does 25 with splash of 25 as well. This still adds to 50 damage overall, but it's just a bit weird how they'd separate the damage numbers. Along with that, he has 275 health in this version of the game, and once you use the health upgrade he can get up to 303. Finally, once you get in Iron Mode, you get 10 ammo, and since his rate of fire in his weapon is set to a really high number, you can just unload that entire clip in seconds. So for this section I want to mention a bunch of different miscellaneous things I found within the beta's files and also just in the game in general. The first thing I want to mention is a folder that's left in the files called levels_Garden Warfare 1. Now this doesn't have anything in it, it's just one texture for some lighting, but it is related to Main Street, which once again adds to the idea that Brain Street did exist in this game at one point. Along with this, the backyard is using different lighting in the beta. I'll show you on screen now the difference between the lighting in the beta and the lighting in the full release version, because it is quite different. Along with this, there's a bunch of loading screens left over in the beta that show the lighting on different maps. I believe some of the lighting in these images aren't the same as what was in the game, but you can see here the different lighting differences. The one that changed the most was probably Frosty Creek with it being daytime in these images, but I'll quickly go through and show you each of the different loading screens so you can get a close-up of each of them. So now I'm going to talk about the outer map exploit that was left over in the beta. I don't know if this was left over deliberately to tease the story mode or what, but if you go to where each of the different class portals are and you go over to the bush, you can jump over the hedge and get out the map. You can see on screen actual footage of the beta of people doing it. It also seems like the beta has some sort of precaution in place in case you fall out of the world as well, if you see on screen here. For some reason these two walls are missing from the backyard in the beta as well. You can see here on screen an actual screenshot from the beta. Now I doubt anyone will really care about this, but the physicist and astronaut AI in the beta are bugged. The astronaut is using the body of the archaeologist, and the physicist is using the hat and goggles from the regular scientist. The bug with the physicist was even in Garden Warfare 1, so they probably just forgot to update it before the beta came out. So with all that out the way, let's move on to the final thing in this video. In the beta version of Garden Warfare 2, there's at least 6,000 graphics that are different to what we have in the launch version. To begin with, I'm going to mention how the cards are a bit different in the beta. If you look here, you can see how it's a little bit different on the background for both the plants and the zombie cards. They overlap the green or the purple texture over the original card just to make sure that you know it's a plant or a zombie card for some reason. This got removed on full release though. Every taunt that was in Garden Warfare 2 at launch had a different icon in the beta version as well. On screen I'll go through each and every one of the emotes that each character has so you can see the different icons they use. Every single cosmetic in the beta also had a different icon as well. Now for obvious reasons I'm not going to go through and just extract every single cosmetic in the game and show you the icons because that would be really tedious, but I'll show a few examples on screen of different icons that are different in the beta. The character icons are a bit different in the beta too. I'll show the full texture map on screen and you can pause it and take a look at each of the characters to see what's different. Next we have some leftover spotting icons. These were left over in the textures that are used for the spawners in Ops mode, and you can see here they're quite different to the ones we have in the main game. This texture map also comes with different bot icons that they had in the beta. You can see the bots all have their static pose. In the modern day version of Garden Warfare 2, under the folder for each of the different pack icons, there's one relating to beta. If you open this folder up, normally there's only two textures for the Wondrous Pack of Greatness and the Minions Booster Pack. But if we open up that folder in the beta, there's a bunch of different pack icons for all the different characters that were obtainable in the beta. Now I'm going to only show you one of them on the screen because they're all identical with it just saying the different character name on the pack. There's some assets relating to the E3 Dave left over in the files. There's both audio and there's also a video for them. The audio works fine, but the videos have been overwritten with a bit of dev text telling them to delete the files later on. I'll play it all anyway, just so you can see what it is. Finally, for the unused graphics, there's a bunch of different sticker book renders that were left over in the beta. Pretty much every single character has a different render in the beta due to the lighting changes, but I'm only going to show the ones that I think are more interesting. So I'm going to begin with AC Perry's render. His weapon seems to be a bit bugged with it not being connected to the rest of the gun, and all the engineers in the beta are using a different render where their head is not fully looking at the camera. Party Brain seems to have a completely different design here, with him having his mask and also a different texture on his cape as well. You can also see he's missing his pupils. All three of these cons are missing the reload cobs in their backs. Somehow in this version of the game they made it so Party Corn has one of the gem cosmetics clipping into his character. In the full release of the game they got rid of the face paint and moved the gem cosmetic behind him instead, so it's still left in the game in the current release. Pylon Imp has no beard, that's it. This character seems to be using her Garden Warfare 1 textures for the body instead of the Garden Warfare 2 ones. I don't really know why. Electro P is missing his eyebrows, and this also persists into the Endless Giant version of him too, so I think they were planning on not giving him eyebrows at one point and then went back on it. Power Cactus has really white eyes and also seems to have the electric effect going through her body. My guess is that we're loading in the effects in real time for these renders. This is why this Ice Pea has his snowflake showing on his character. Moto X-Star has his goggles in this render, which makes me think this was planned to be his design until they changed it, probably around the late 2015. So I'm going to cover these ones together since they're both just bugged renders. Chemist's gun is not being rendered properly, and Citron's for some reason got his beard in his icon. The lights on the Disco Chomper are in different spots in this icon, and also he doesn't seem to have as much detail on his body as well. And his goop has no texture. This goop problem's also on the Unicorn Chomper as well. Agent P's completely missing his silencer. Astronaut's got glasses on in this render. It seems like the Plasma Pea has a slightly different design here. I don't know if it's the lighting or what, but it looks like the textures are a bit different on him. Finally, the Toxic Pea's shaders are messed up, so it makes it look like he's just a regular pea shooter with a toxic mask. So that's all I found inside of the GW2 multiplayer beta. If you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like, maybe subscribe if you want to. I've made other videos on unused content for these games, so you can check them out as well. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.